So I know normally we do a joke at the start of face-off, but I feel like the way I look is just the joke.
We already
for
got
today.
the jokes.
We got the joke done. It's there.
Welcome to Face Off. They're gonna adjust the focus on the camera here, guys.
That'd be great. Can you make the lighting make it look like I'm not scary? That'd be great.
So this is the pleasures of live television, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Hey, we look great. Thank you very much. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Face Off. This is the triumphant return of Face Off in our new studio, where we will be talking about a lot of great topics today. Up first, SWC in Europe.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we have a lot of teams in Europe. I think people are really excited the fact that this is closing out. A lot of teams are locked in already. So, it's those on the edge, on the brink kind of teams that are looking to get into it. And now that we have more... You can't look at me. Now that we have the events panned out, right? We have the regionals available. We know what's going to happen. The SMITE Pro League is there. Now that we know everything about the SMITE World Championships path, that people can really get excited about where they're going to go for the regionals. We have a lot of things in store, and I think the biggest thing to talk about is literally their top 8 teams are available. Can you stop? I'm trying to.
Dude, something about the way the headset's like sitting, like turn, go to profile, let us see this. Like the way the headset's sitting on your head, it's just like, oh, it's killing me, dude. Okay, yeah, so you're right. I mean, this is the big announcement, everybody. DryBear, impossible to look at. Okay, so. Teams in Europe that do stand a chance. It's kind of the deal here that we're talking about. So, yeah, as you mentioned, a lot of teams locked in. Cloud9, HyperX, TSM seem to be pretty much shoo-in.
Sure.
Team Coast, Agilitas, very good spot to kind of pull in. i5 and SK Gaming just sitting right outside of kind of where they have an opportunity to get in to the top 4 position. So, I mean, those top 4 spots, very coveted, as it does give you the automatic bid into the SMITE Pro League, as well as a chance to win part of that $50,000 prize pool. So, I guess what's your kind of what's your best guess for the top 4 at the end of the season?
You know, it's hard to say because, previously SK Gaming wasn't a buy, right? They were the kind of team that really wasn't performing the way you expect them to, but suddenly, out of nowhere, 2 weeks ago, we saw them come out. They actually won first place in the grand final. This time around, they went to the 4th place and got some more seeding points. So now skyrocketing all the way up to 6th place, we have SK Gaming. So it's hard to say, especially same thing. I just can't even look at you. We got TSM as well finally coming out and showing their stuff here in last week, especially with Game Hunter, And so I think that it's hard to make an adjustment to that. C9 and TSM are obviously there. I think Team Coast will be able to finish it out. As far as the 4th slot go, I think I'm going to give it to Agilitas just because they're more consistent, they're more engaging. The one caveat I would add to that is they tend to kind of innovate too much, and we see a lot of that, right? Where people are picking weird things and kind of running
double
different
bruiser lane.
Different. As long as they play it straight and narrow, I would say that would be my top 4.
Okay. I'll also go with C9, TSM, Team Coast. Team Coast, of course, formerly Worth Gaming, being your top 3 from Europe. For 4th place, I'm going to go ahead and let me cheat here a little bit and pull up the actual point standings here. So Agilitas at 200, 8 points behind i5, 8 points behind that SK. So it is like deadlocked basically for 4, 5, 6. My money's going to be on SK, a little bit more tenured players. Reels plays very well when the pressure is on, it seems like. They're, of course, their carry player for SK Gaming. So I think it's going to be pretty tough not to give it to them. Captain Twig is such a good mid as well.
Sure.
So it did very well in the SMITE tournament. Badger, a longtime player, and Reels now pretty tenured as well. So for me, it's going to be, I think SK Gaming is going to take that 4th spot with probably a 2nd place and maybe a 1st place in the next couple weeks.
Well, that's right. I mean, I think there's a lot to think about in the future as well as how what this transitions to into the SMITE Pro League, if they're able to buy into that, or if it goes into the Challengers Cup afterwards, how will they be able to control that to make their chance towards the SMITE World Championship? Let's go ahead and cut to the next one. It's going to be 5 Angry Men versus Cognitive Red is the topic we want to talk about because we spent so much time talking about the EU teams and how they're going to make it into the regionals or progress forward in the top 4, but I think it's a little bit more constrained in NA. We have 5 Angry Men versus Cognitive Red, really the only 2 teams worthy of talking about here, considering the fact that we just have less teams over there. So as it stands right now, we got Dignitas, Cognitive, and Snipe all locked in. On the brink's going to be Cognitive Red, and then just behind them is 5 Angry Men. So where do you put your loyalties?
Well, I mean, you say just behind them, but you're looking at about a 50-point differential. And,
sure.
And the difference between 1st place and 2nd place is 40 points. So, I mean, basically Cognitive Red has to place 1st, and 5 Angry Men can't place 2nd. Oh, sorry. 5 Angry Men has to place 1st, and COG can't place 2nd. COG Red can't place 2nd for them to have an opportunity to overtake them. or Cognitive Red needs to lose in like the round of 8 or something, and 5 needs to go deep in a tournament. I mean, there is some situations to get them in there, but it's a tall task for the 5 men. They have to win probably the next 2 weeks to really have a good shot of securing.
Sure, which, I mean, we've seen plenty of upsets before, but, you know, and honestly, you're talking about tenured teams with SK. I think there's definitely a lot of tenured players on 5 men, and really, if they kind of hit their stride, they can roll it out. It is a long road to go, and I think if you're looking at the gap between these teams as well, as we go into the next stage of path to Atlanta, path to SMITE World Championship, it's a big gap, right? Because they're going to be able to go into, the Challengers Cup, go into the Pro League, go into plenty of things, and really just dominate there, because that's the biggest part about the Pro League, is that it's going to lead so much space for other teams to roll in there. So I think that, 5 men have a great chance here, and really beyond that, there's not much else in NA. I mean, it's just so locked in, which is going to make this hard, because we have to choose 2 NA teams for the World Championship.
We do, yeah, but we do have a quick video here for the 5 men guys. Let's take a look at what they were able to do in the last couple weeks of competition.
So we have Giannis coming out here, throwing it out. Looks like Mace to Face is rolling around.
Oh, this was nuts, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, the Giannis play from Mace to the Face was really nice. I mean, the kind of player that has done this several times, right, kind of brought these non-standard gods into the mid lane a lot, especially burst mages. Habwa being probably the one that he's most known for, was really, really kind of, I guess, made his name for himself as the mid laner. Kind of going into those ISIS matchups, and ISIS was considered basically the S tier of mid laners. He started saying, okay, well, we'll just pick Habwa, right?
S tier after bans, right? It's kind of like
that's right,
once everything goes down, you want to select that.
No Agni,
definitely.
And no Ao Kwang. It was ISIS.
Right, and I think the biggest thing is that Giannis has kind of followed this Scylla path, right, where it comes out and was like, oh, worst god ever, can't be played, slightly adjusted upward, but not really over the top kind of thing. And now we're seeing the point where, I mean, all Giannis has to do is hit you with one combo and you're done 20%.
Sure.
It's not very elegant. It's not the most complicated, but if you can hit it well and hit it consistently, he does a lot of damage. We see a lot of effective play from Giannis over the weekend. In fact, Scylla was barely even looked at in a lot of situations. She wasn't banned. She wasn't picked. And if she was picked in the first 6 maybe, but not always even in the first. And then sometimes we've been picked last, if picked at all. And so the small adjustment downward for Scylla and the fact that Giannis is now getting more comfortable for certain players, I feel like it's just kind of making them more viable. We have a lot of gods that are kind of rolling in here, and let's talk a little bit about them. We've seen some gods fall off, right? Moonbots and Poseidon used to be top tier, top pick, top ban. They're not touched anymore. Yeah,
Poseidon a little bit slower. Still seems pretty strong. Still has that very good clear. Maybe it's kind of a little bit due, once again, to kind of the rise of ISIS, right? People kind of realize, okay, look, there's other gods that can clear and stall against Poseidon, and maybe he's not that great. I think the movement speed nerf hurt him a lot, though. I mean, from a perspective of why he was so strong was his ability to basically get to the side lanes faster than any other god. Now, gods coming into the game in a big way is, like you mentioned, Loki, I think, being at the top of that list is kind of a god that you're seeing a real renaissance of.
We're going to see it here. I mean, look at the top picks over the history of the qualifiers SMITE World Championship. Of course, it's 2 weeks old here, but you can see suddenly out of nowhere, Hoonbosh just falls off. You can see him not even being played at all in the top 3.
And
Thor
Osiris
is very steady, and Osiris coming out of nowhere as well. And then there's a Loki at the end. So definitely a lot of rotation there at the top. You see Poseidon. Who?
Right.
It's just gone.
Yeah, and as you notice, I mean, it's trending a lot more. The Agni really coming into his own here, even after being nerfed, right? I mean, for so long, Agni was one of those gods that was basically untouched from a balance perspective. Bombs got nerfed a little bit early on, but besides that, it's been pretty straightforward. Had some changes to the way his timings worked, but
it was the animation trouble that made it so hard to play.
In and out of kind of what is the meta for the mid lane, and now that even after he's been nerfed, where his dash is no longer CC immune, giving him a little bit less utility, a little less safe, still probably the #1 overall pick for mid right now.
Right. I mean, he's so stable. He has a lot of damage output, more versatile, and I think people are favoring characters that can rotate a little bit more now, because we're seeing mid games, we're seeing people rotate around and be more involved rather than just the mid lane. Because it seems like people are just kind of favoring those ganks on the sides because there's more innovation in the jungle. I mean, you see more Lokis, you see more Thors, which generally can be bursted down a lot quicker. And more picks are coming out here.
Let's talk Ao Kwang. I mean,
Ao Guang is different,
in the
right?
mid,
Because
yeah.
he's one of those characters, again, very simplistic, not very elegant, nothing really extraneous about him,
Sure.
but more about the character where he's just solid all around. I think the biggest thing about him is that slow, and we're seeing so many great Spirits Tempests from these top-tier players
Yeah,
hitting
MLC
everything.
Stealth being a very, very
Right.
front runner in North America, at least.
Well,
for
Lobster
Ao Guang.
with the double kill. I mean, he got a
Yeah.
double kill for a Fire Giant, and then the game ended right then and there. He just instantly vaporized them. So Ao Guang not making it into the top here until the very end of the SMITE World Championship
I
qualifiers.
love this graphic,
but
by the way. 5th week, Hercules? Yeah, no.
no.
Everyone really concerned. And another thing is, yeah, I mean, looking at kind of the bruisers falling off as well in the Guardian role, as we mentioned, not really Guardians, so not too surprising to see them fall
Who's
off
that
there.
god in the top left?
Yurden, I think?
Yurden?
Something like that, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, from the Hunters, you see the rise of Artemis in a big way here.
Definitely.
Artemis, very, very popular, which is interesting considering how strong many people thought Apollo was.
Right.
Immediately following the changes to the Devourer's Gloves, his ability to use Audacity to build HP so quickly.
Right.
But what players are finding is basically Artemis' ability to harass in the lane is letting her get through that laning phase, and then she has the better late game.
Well, that's it, right? Because if she's able to get that mana buff early on, it's just volley. And really the only way to beat Artemis in lane is to stand so far away from the lane that she can't hit both you and the lane together. And so either she clears faster than you and you're losing experience fighting under tower, or you're just taking free damage. Either way, it's not a good look. And if she gets ganked, she has a CC immunity. But the biggest thing is that because there's more item rushing in the way, you're not getting Death's Toll and waiting for Heart Saver to fall off. It's skipping right into the mid game, right, with your itemization. Artemis is so powerful. Probably one of the strongest single target DPS hunters in the game, able to just hit very, 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 very hard. So Artemis comes out strong mid and late, which they're getting skyrocketed into because the itemization changes. She's just an easy pick.
That's right. And final thought here on these gods. We're talking about Ao Guang coming back in. To me, it seems like it's really this factor of players really investing heavily into the idea of Purification's rank 3 and the way it affects your cooldowns. And it's the Squall with cooldown reduction into Polynomicon into Squall again that's just doing so much damage on Ao Guang, getting him so much single target kill potential. But moving on to our final topic for the day, ladies and gentlemen, the return of Team Solomid. And this is kind of literally and figuratively. They literally have returned from China and the traveling they were doing. The team is now fighting at its full roster, of course, now with Smek instead of Youngbei, and looking pretty strong.
Oh, definitely. I think they've been playing very well. Obviously, Game Hunter making MVP last week. Congratulations to him.
Hell of a blow.
Coming out strong. And, I think it's a good thing to mention the fact that they had subs for a little while, players kind of subbing in and out. They traveled to China, things going back and forth. And it's really kind of like Return of the King, right? Because they got first place in the launch tournament, and then they come back and they show the team they used to be. And this is what you'd expect from them. But again, not really. I mean, of course, they came out very strong. They lost those few weeks. It was like 4 weeks straight, right, where they didn't play as well. And so that left a lot of room for other players. I think that they are glad that they're kind of locked in that second slot, and now they're not really too worried. And I'm curious to see how they're going to react to the regional once we actually do go through that. But, TSM has kind of shown themselves as a team that's really strong when it counts, right? Not always when they're rotating
when they really need to won, they find a way to win.
Yeah, they always won. But one team I want to talk about as well.
Yeah, when you said Return of the King, though, before we move on, I was really kind of sad it wasn't a Lord of the Ring reference.
It could have been.
It could have really done well.
It could have been.
Before we move on, let's talk about that Game Hunter MVP for this week, this play. Check this out. 4v1 and manages to find 2 kills here on Hubba before going down. Really, really spectacular play. That knockup, I mean, just such presence of mind there to go, okay, look, I can find a kill on this low HP Freya, and that's going to help me out a lot in terms of kiting away. They don't have a lot of slow utility besides that. The raw slow already down, and then the Aegis here, and then this Loki. Loki had to know. Another Water Hands now making his way away. Here comes Athena. I mean, just such spectacular play.
Well, I mean, I remember casting this moment, and really it's surprising to see. I mean, you're looking at it thinking, why are they committing so hard to Hubba? Fire Giant was available. They had towers they could push. They were going down there. And the biggest thing about Game Hunter is, when you look at a seasoned veteran like Game Hunter, he's not thinking, I'm going to get a Quadra. He's thinking, I'm going to waste all their time. And he's just sitting there wasting their time. They're committing to this fight, and they can't get close to him because not only does he have the slow, he's got the Atlas of the Yellow River, which is incredibly great at space control, but he also has the knockup. And so there's so many things to slow them down and prevent them from being able to commit to him entirely that he just wasted all their time. They didn't get an objective. And then when TSM finally respond, they came back in. So that's kind of like the secret sauce of that play, right? Where Game Hunter is allowed to make this 30-second window of opportunity just be wasted for the enemy team.
So, I mean, with these plays that Game Hunter continues to make, he plays these hyper carries. He has an 80% win rate on Hubwa. I mean, it's just he plays these Vamana, Hubwa, kind of hyper carry style. Solo lane seems to be what he really excels at. The raw, maybe not his strongest, although he does play quite well with it. Is Game Hunter the best solo laner in the world?
It's hard to say because Zalia was one of the best, if not the best solo
That's
laner
right.
in the world, and now we haven't seen much of him. So, I think it's very time contingent, and I think something we
At
saw
this
at the
moment.
at this moment,
Is Game Hunter the best solo laner in the world?
after what I saw last weekend, yes.
It's hard to bet against him. That's for sure. Godpool, very nice.
Sure.
Plays some very off-brand style solo laners that really help out your team comps. Specifically Hubwell, right? Like picking up a
Hubwell's
lot of
great.
damage there. Being able to play him in the solo lane effectively really makes a big difference for what you can do with your team comps. You can run, physical jungler all-in style. You can run that kind of Mercury with him, or you can run a tank basically in the jungle.
Well, it's also hard, right? Because we have so many assassins in the jungle being played right now with Loki, Mercury, Thor. It's hard to play a character like
That's so
Hubwell because you
squishy,
can
that's
just
right.
take him out very easily. But Game Hunter has always been that character that has that presence of mind. He's always aware of what's going on. He's always focused. He never gets emotional. He never gets upset. And he's definitely one of those players that you can rely on in the clutch because he just doesn't bring anything but success into the moment because he just plays so sharply. But, I mean, just to wrap it up here, I mean, definitely a lot of opportunity for EU teams as it stands right now in the qualifiers, going to the regional. With everything that's been announced so far, I think there's a lot of hype as well. Reasons to watch this weekend. Of course, we have this Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern
right.
is going to be the start of the North American week number 9
That's right, almost done.
qualifier. And then Sunday, it's going to be 9 a.m. Eastern as well for the week number 9 qualifier on this channel right here. And, the last 2 weeks are so stressful. They're just so stressful.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's worth mentioning as well that DryBear and I will not be in attendance for the games this weekend. They will be brought to you by DM Barandino and the one and only Hindu Man.
That's right.
And we will be attending the Rooster Teeth Expo. And, oh, geez. Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Oh, geez.
Oh, man.
Just joining us now, live in studio.
Oh, my
the bedazzled and azure beauty of HiRez, ladies and gentlemen, Miss HiRezKelly. We are looking at her hair now, and
No, we're just looking at my face, apparently, is what we're looking at.
yeah, no, it's a really good
I
looking
swear
face.
there's something really cool
There's
over
something
here.
really cool just over his shoulder over
just
there.
give it a moment.
But
there
here,
it is.
Here she
Woo!
is, full in blue. Put on your headset.
Oh,
So,
look at
Kelly,
that.
it's 6:10 p.m. We got at the salon this morning at, 9 o'clock?
9 hours.
So how was it?
It was long.
Yeah?
They bleached my hair twice.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
And they couldn't do white because it would just turn yellow and orange. They couldn't bleach it enough, so I went with blue.
Okay.
I got a free massage, which was nice.
Nice.
Andy brought me a sandwich, which was pretty good.
Oh, what a sandwich.
Sandwich.
But the 9 hours was a little bit long, but I like what happened.
Well, according to chat, it's 10 times better than you were before.
Ah, thank you,
Wow.
chat.
So apparently you finally fixed your hair.
Good job.
Finally did it.
Good
Only
job.
took me a year and a half.
And that, ladies and
This
gentlemen,
result, guys. This is the charity stream right
this
here.
is, yeah, right, that's
This
right.
is the
yeah,
charity stream right
give it
here.
up here.
Thank you for donating. Oh, look at that. Oh, baby.
Ooh.
You have to get in a bathtub, so.
That's right. I do have to get a bathtub with somebody. Which, hey, look, I'm kind of looking forward to it. Because, like, here's what it's kind of like: do you choose the players that you know are going to be like kind of into it and like happy, or do you choose the players that are like totally not gonna? Like, do I go get?
I
like,
would say number 2.
go get Young Bay, right? He's just going to be like, I don't really want to get in the bathtub.
But get in
And be like, I'm getting the bathtub.
get in the
Young
bathtub now.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Drop trow.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, will conclude our broadcast for today from the studio. This was Face Off. Before that was a SMITE eSports announcement show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you had a good time. And for DryBear and HiRezKelly, I am and have been HiRezBart, and we will see you guys. Well, DryBear and I will see you until RTX unless you're going to be there in Austin. Kelly will see you tomorrow on our normal stream slot. Much love, everybody, and have a great day.